Well, that was a lot more exciting than I thought it would be. So that detour that I went on turned out to be a artillery testing missile range. Still learning how to talk this thing in, but it'll work eventually. So, I'm on my way to the Craters of the Moon National Monument area, and it's the middle of fire season out in the west, and this section of Idaho has some fires nearby that are kind of filling the landscape. And fire season is always interesting because the air is always super smoky, but in this area of Idaho, there are all these kind of volcanic rocks that make up most of the geology of the various hills and mountains. And so it just adds this kind of extra effect when you have the smoke from the fire saturating the sky and these red lava rocks all around it. It really does give the impression of kind of stepping into the domain of fire and lava. So it's a really interesting kind of perspective. Well, that was a lot more exciting than I thought it would be. So that detour that I went on turned out to be a artillery testing missile range. And so there's signs everywhere about unexploded ordnance and tracks for tanks and things like that. And there was at one point a security checkpoint that was open to wheeled vehicles, and one of the last things I drove past was a compound that had like 100 different tanks just sitting there. So that was an interesting experience. That was definitely different. So I'm at the Craters of the Moon National Monument, and like the lava beds area, this is a place with an astonishing amount of volcanic activity. But what really, really blows my mind is how recent some of these lava flows are. So this area I'm walking through at Devil's Orchard is the name of the place. These lava flows literally formed, literally formed 2,000 years ago. These dentures are really so hard to speak with. But something I have to get used to. Anyway, it just blows my mind that so much of what we think of as in the memory of civilization happened while these lava flows were active. All of these black rocks all around me formed just 2,000 years ago. Sections of the earth spewing out molten magma, covering the surface, happened so recently out here in the Pacific Northwest. It actually just blows my mind. I strongly suspect that that was written when there wasn't a bunch of smoke in the air from nearby fires. awestruck I am by this place. Just we think of a lot of those geologic forces, the things that shape our Earth, as things that happened far before human memory, as things that take place in the far distant past and have no bearing on our world and the way it operates. And going to places like this, where many of these lava fields formed only 2,000 years ago, makes you realize that we're embedded in this ancient world, that these processes that we think of as happening far beyond the human memory are still with us. And all around me, all of these little mounds of volcanic material, all these pieces of volcanic rock, all come from lava that erupted in the incredibly recent past. And that just blows me away. It's such a privilege to go to a place like this and see what it has to offer.
Right now I'm at the base of the Sawtooth Mountains in central Idaho, and these mountains really are kind of amazing, where you have these just like rolling sagebrush areas, and then you work your way up, and there are these just amazing kind of sharp tops of these mountains. You know, there's a reason they're called the Sawtooths. So I think this morning I'm gonna fly my drone around a little bit after I get breakfast, and then head my way into the Grand Tetons, which will be the first time I've really visited the place, despite having been to Yellowstone many times. So it should be an amazing day. I'm really excited to see what kind of cool stuff we have in store.
Alright, well I made it to Yellowstone National Park. I originally was planning on spending a day or two in the Grand Tetons, but the smoke is so thick that the mountain range is mostly obscured. And so I figure if I'm going to be going somewhere like the Tetons, I might as well go somewhere like Yellowstone instead. It's just the same but a little bit more. No offense to the Tetons, but... so basically, I think I'm gonna do this particular Yellowstone trip a little bit differently than the other ways that I have. I don't have my false tooth in right now, so you'll see a bit of a gap right there from the tooth that betrayed me earlier. I think because there are so many people out about in the park, many of them not wearing masks, is kind of forgetting about the fact that we don't live in the normal world anymore. I think I'm gonna spend a lot of my time on some of these trails that run through Yellowstone that's a little bit less explored, far fewer people, but still lots of amazing scenery.